Investigate and report. Cabinet directs Energy Minister to probe allegations of impropriety at Petrojam as 3 new board members are appointed. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on air and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Archibald Gordon.
And I'm Doreen Samuels. Also this evening, improper. Opposition slams the team appointed to investigate Petrojam.
Do not panic. BOJ governor says slide-in dollars should be temporary.
Solve the issue. Disabled community says potholes and objects on sidewalks endangering their members.
Preparing for PEP, TVJ News looks at what students are being asked to do in the new exam.
And in business news, price increase. One manufacturer moves prices to reflect sliding dollar.
There's also sports commentary and weather in the primetime package. But before the break, the feedback question.
This evening we're asking, do you care if Jamaica remains a part of CARICOM? Why or why not?
Share comments online, facebook.com/television Jamaica and Twitter at Television Jam.
Please stay with us. Primetime News returns after this break.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
And a special welcome to folks on onespotmedia.com.
Up first this evening, a new development in the controversy surrounding the state-run oil refinery Petrojam.
Petrojam's senior management and the permanent secretary in the Energy Ministry have been summoned to attend next week's meeting of the Cabinet to respond to allegations of mismanagement at the oil refinery.
This comes even as Cabinet announces the appointment of new Jamaican board members following the resignation of 3 Petrojam board members. TVJ's Vashon Brown picks up the story.
Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley was absent from the House on Tuesday, where he was expected to provide answers to questions about the operations of Petrojam, matters surrounding the entity's hiring practices, how it spends its money, and a high attrition rate have dominated the news in the last few weeks. Now Cabinet says it wants answers. At its meeting on Monday, it directed the Cabinet Secretary to ask his colleague in the Energy Ministry to prepare a report which should address the various allegations. A release from the Office of the Prime Minister said the report is to be ready for the next meeting of Cabinet. That could be as early as next Monday. These developments come as Cabinet approved the appointment of new board members, Paul Hu, Rosie Pilner, and Wayne Powell. They replaced the 3 Jamaican directors, Percival Badaho Singh, Richard Creary, and Harold Malcolm, who resigned recently. Richard Creary, in his resignation letter dated June 18, said the board had not met in the last 9 months due to the unavailability of the Venezuelan directors. He also admitted to being unaware of most of the issues that were raised until he heard them in the media. The opposition is concerned.
The board not meeting even, say, 3 months, 1 quarter, that would be cause for concern because it means that the organization is without oversight. And that's the reason why you have a board in place, to provide policy guidelines, to provide oversight, to make sure that the things that ought to be done are being done. Otherwise, there's no point in having a board.
Mr. Jackson also argues that the resignation of the 3 directors is only a step in the right direction, but this does not go far enough in addressing the corruption and deepening crisis at the nation's oil refinery.
If there was oversight, that oversight is very deficient, and I dare to say the height of incompetence. And here again, the Prime Minister must make, it is his call as to whether or not those incompetence meets with his satisfaction.
In the meantime, President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, Howard Mitchell, is also reacting.
The situation at Petrojam, if the allegations are true, indicates a severe lack of prudent management on the part of the board. And we have expressed our reservations about the management of public bodies, and those reservations have not changed, notwithstanding that the Minister of Finance has announced a new policy. We think that something has to be done quickly to deal with the management of public boards in Jamaica and to save taxpayers' money.
There has been public outrage about millions paid to 2 firms under questionable circumstances, the human resource manager's $12 million annual salary, as well as traveling expenses incurred by the chairman. Efforts to contact Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley have been unsuccessful. Vashon Brown, TVJ News.
And the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, says it is gravely concerned about the controversy surrounding the governance and operations at Petrojam. The JMEA says recent disclosures in relation to Petrojam's operations are damning and indicate clear mismanagement. In a media release this afternoon, the association said it applauds Parliament's Public Administration Appropriations Committee, PAAC, for bringing what it called the serious misconduct of authority and mishandling of state resources at Petrojam to the attention of the country. It says it expects that all persons indicted of any criminal activity will feel the full extent of the law.
In the meantime, the opposition spokesman on energy, Philip Paulwell, says it is inappropriate to ask the permanent secretary at the Energy Ministry, Hilary Alexander, to investigate and report on breaches at Petrojam. Mr. Paulwell says his objection is based on the fact that some of the breaches at Petrojam stemmed from managerial and oversight weaknesses for which Ms. Alexander must take responsibility. In a statement, he said the cabinet should, quote, wheel and come again, end quote, and step up a transparent mechanism to ensure that corruption is uncovered and rooted out, and whoever is responsible is identified and punished.
Bank of Jamaica Governor Brian Winter is assuring Jamaicans not to panic over the recent slide in the dollar. Mr. Winter, who is on a road trip in the United States, took time out to tell the nation everything is under control. TVJ's Dashan Hendricks reports.
The dollar sliding, manufacturers worrying, consumers panicking. The recent movements in the currency will be budget busting. But the Governor of the Bank of Jamaica, Brian Winter, calmly assuring.
I would say to the public that it's important that we keep our eyes focused on the public, which is inflation.
And he points out that prices are being falling since the start of the year. Inflation up to the end of May was 0.7%. For the last 12 months, it was over 3%. For him, the current discussion about the dollar is causing deja vu.
January, February, really. There was a similar intense fear and concern as people thought the dollar was sliding and it would just slide forever. You may recall it stopped, and indeed it completely retraced.
The expectation is that fluctuations will continue to happen. This current movement is caused by companies refinancing US dollar loans as interest rates fall. Mr. Winter says as soon as the payments are made, the market should settle down.
I have no doubt that it will calm down. And the reason I have no doubt is because the fundamentals are there.
He said that the central bank added $60 million to the market recently to help meet demand. As for companies moving prices, he said not much can be done on that front because the exchange rate is not the only consideration which goes into determining prices. The word then is do not focus on the value of the dollar. Watch if inflation is affecting spending power.
The inflation rate at 3.1% is below, it's outside of the target. The target is 4 to 6.
All right.
So it's not. We're missing the target. It needs to go. We need a bit more inflation. That seems odd to say, but that is the case.
Dashan Hendricks, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, another sector is taking the government to task over the rapid slide in the value of the Jamaican dollar. This after the currency has seen 4 weeks of rapid devaluation, falling by some $6 against the US dollar. Well, at least one workers' union says, considering the anticipated impact on purchasing power, an urgent renegotiation of wage agreements is needed.
Local producers say with the drastic devaluation of the dollar, they'll have no choice but to increase prices to match the increased cost of imported raw material. But President of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees, UCASE, Vincent Morrison, says he is already seeing the impact.
It will have a very serious effect on the workers' pay package. You just have to go into the supermarket on weekends or any time for that matter to see the movement of basic prices, basic goods moving in the wrong direction.
Wage negotiations were only recently completed. Some workers agreed to a 16% increase over 4 years. Mr. Morrison says the sliding dollar could jeopardize that agreement.
What we want to suggest going forward is that some of the contracts negotiated, these contracts may have to be revised. Certainly in the public sector, the 16% was predicated on the basis that there would have been stability. The dollar is really the center, the pivot around which the movement of price adjustments takes place. And we are looking on that, we are examining that. We hope that we can get a meeting with the Ministry of Finance so we can discuss that situation.
We put that argument to economist at the University of the West Indies, Mona, Dr. Andre Horton.
Considering the fact that the negotiations have recently been completed, then it's highly unlikely that the government will revisit that in the present year. But what we're seeing is that the issue with the foreign currency is a broader issue than just the wage negotiations and so on and so forth. It's about production and productivity in the country, and it's about stabilizing output.
He suggests a forum is needed to get all sectors, including public sector workers, to understand the government's fiscal plan.
As it relates to the wage negotiations, yes, public sector workers are going to need a more income to offset whatever expenditure if they have a high foreign currency consumption basket. But at the same time, for Jamaica as a whole, I think we have to look at the fundamentals and we have to address these handicaps that have been plaguing output and output growth across the island in different industries.
The UK's president, however, says his members feel they are always called on to bear the brunt of the negative consequences of fiscal policies. The union has been asked to address the finance ministry for changes. Herman Green, TVJ News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness is again defending his administration's position on Jamaica's participation in CARICOM. Mr. Holness was speaking in the lower house today, where he opened the debate on the CARICOM review report.
The expressions that have come sometimes would seek to indicate that there is some reluctance on this side to fully participate in CARICOM. By this debate, Mr. Speaker, I wish to put pay to such thought that there is no reluctance on this side to participate in CARICOM.
In his contribution to the debate, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips questioned the government's commitment to promoting regionalism.
Ought we not collectively to show leadership as far as completing their...
We do apologize for that technical error. Now, the CARICOM report was put together by the Bruce Golding-led Review Commission. The commission was established in 2016 with the aim of examining Jamaica's relations with the regional body. To another story now, the hearing of a writ filed against the state by controversial Muslim cleric Sheikh Abdullah El Faisal, who is wanted by the U.S. Justice Department on terrorism charges, is now set for October 16. El Faisal is challenging his extradition. The matter was scheduled for yesterday. However, El Faisal's attorney, Bert Samuels, says the legal team is awaiting the transcript from his extradition hearing. El Faisal is wanted by prosecutors in New York who have accused him of recruiting persons to join the terrorist group Islamic State. U.S. prosecutors say they have audio recordings of him trying to recruit an undercover cop. Chief Engineer of the State-run National Energy Solutions Limited, NESOL, Lawrence Pommels, and his co-accused 32-year-old mechanic Ricardo Harris were refused bail this afternoon when they appeared before the St. Catherine Parish Court on money laundering charges. They are scheduled to return to court on June 26. During today's bail hearing, prosecutors strongly opposed bail, claiming that the men are considered flight risks, especially Mr. Pommels. They argue that he is financially well off and, if granted bail, could interfere with witnesses in the matter. Mr. Pommels is accused of offering $20 million to bribe investigators following his arrest. His attorney, Christopher Townsend, dismissed the claims by prosecutors, adding that his client will not interfere with witnesses employed to NESOL. A top story this evening: investigate and report. Cabinet directs Energy Ministry to probe allegations of impropriety at Petrojam as 3 new board members are appointed. Still ahead, what's on the PEP? TVJ News looks at the new exam replacing GSAT. And in business news, Wisynco increases its prices to reflect sliding dollar. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Continuing the news. The Jamaica Society for the Blind and the Combined Disabilities Association are expressing frustration about the length of time it is taking to remove impediments on sidewalks which affect the movements of the disabled. TVJ Shamela Mitchell reports.
Barriers on sidewalks.
I fell in it once.
Chairman of the Jamaica Society for the Blind, Damien McLean, sharing his ordeal at a bus stop in Heroes Circle in Kingston recently. And it's not just in the corporate area. Since the start of the year, the society says 20 complaints have been lodged about the blind having a challenge using sidewalks island-wide. Although the figure is lower, the Combined Disabilities Association for this year, just 6, Chief Executive Officer Gloria Goff says last year there were far more complaints, 18 in total. Ms. Goff says despite a reduction in complaints, the problems still exist.
The placement of items on the sidewalk, vehicles being parked on the sidewalk, stalls on the sidewalk, and it poses a challenge because persons now have to walk into the road, and sometimes going around a vehicle that part of it is on the sidewalk and part in the road can create serious accidents.
And they have very little hope to no hope of having the problems fixed.
The fact that the powers that be, when you report these challenges, it takes quite a while for the problem to be solved.
To be fair to the NWA, there are times when because we write to them regularly, we lobby them often, they will respond, but it is very slow. That's the problem. The holes seem to be popping up faster than how the NWA can repair them.
The National Works Agency, which is responsible for sidewalks on main roads, says it doesn't really have a budget to fix pavements. Spokesman Stephen Shaw told TVJ News that sidewalks are generally given attention under special programs such as JEEP. Meanwhile, Mayor of Kingston, Delroy Williams, has ordered a technical team to fix the potholes around the Heroes Circle.
I'm going to ask the engineers, and the acting city engineer is here. I'm going to ask him to deal with it immediately. It seems, I would say this is an emergency, so I'm going to ask him to use our emergency funds and deal with it immediately. This is not a matter that can wait.
Ms. Goff says the society should ensure sidewalks are safe for the blind and disabled. At present, there are 103,000 blind persons registered with the Jamaica Society for the Blind and 4,000 with the Combined Disabilities Association. Shamela Mitchell, TVJ News.
Residents of 2 communities in eastern Portland are this evening taking issue with an unfinished water improvement project that they say has left them without piped water and with bad roads. The people say the project should have been completed over a year ago and the roads resurfaced, but they're not pleased with the delays. TVJ's Krista Campbell has details.
Rainfall in Sherwood Forest and Zion Hill, Portland is a welcome relief for residents, not so much because of the summer heat, but more so because of the precious commodity itself, water, which residents say has been lacking in their pipes for the past month, and this despite a water improvement project in the area.
Rainfall, we have to wait for, and if rain fall, we don't get no water. But we get to understanding, so the pipeline them round so, so we don't know what go on.
Trucking water to the affected areas is also an issue.
Water Commission already now says that their trucks are, and they have not been delivering for the last couple of months as far as I know. And there's not been any move to rectify or to remedy that situation.
As for the old tanks in the area, residents say they do not supply water to all the communities nearby.
Because salt water in a tank, and in a supply the district, it's go off for the air. The 2 tanks that are here are supposed to be storage tanks. They are old, they are rusty, they are leaking, and the efficiency of them is in question. Now, if the water comes up at some point, how is it going to be stored? We are asking the Water Commission to immediately acquire the tanks in lieu of or waiting on the road to be reinstated.
While residents depend on rainfall to address the water issue, they note it's also worsening the estimated 1.8 kilometers of roadway which has been damaged because of the pipe laying.
Last day by day, it look nasty in the square up the top there. And the community have to get together and get some cement and them thing there and do a little thing for a neighborhood look back neat.
When you reach a certain corner, you see a truck coming, because we have a lot of trucks that carry malt from up here because we have a big malt pit. They would have to squeeze, reverse around corner to find somewhere suitable to park in order to let the truck through. When 2 cars are coming from the opposite side, it's very difficult to maneuver. And some people are a little scared because they're not good at reversing, and this become a challenge for some of these people.
The National Water Commission says it's not responsible for the water improvement project as it only did pipe laying work in the area. Acting Corporate Public Relations Officer Karen Williams says the NWC and the National Works Agency, NWA, are responsible for reinstating the roads which were dug up to lay new pipes. NWA Communication Manager Stephen Shaw says work should begin by as early as Tuesday to prepare the road surface for the laying of asphaltic concrete. But he says the road will be done in sections. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, Councillor for the Ferry Hill Division, Darren Wood, says a lack of rainfall over the past few months is to be blamed for the lack of supply. He, however, says water was trucked to the area on Tuesday.
What we do normally is that at this time of the year we would truck water to the affected area. There's a couple black tanks that we have installed in the area, and we try to get the trucks to go there to fill them so the people can have access to water, in addition to supplying water at the various households.
Mixed reactions this evening to the primary exit profile examination. While some parents and students have expressed concern, at least one educator is supporting the program but believes more work is needed. So what exactly are the students required to do? TVJ's Anthony Lugg has that story.
For a lot of people, what you're seeing on your screen may be pretty forward. An article about Donald Quarry and another about Arthur Wint. Under the primary exit profile, PEP, students are being asked to read these passages, identify the main points, and indicate whether the information supports each statement. The issue, though, these students are between ages 10 to 12, and it's something they're not used to doing.
For GSAT, preparation was thorough, yes, but remember GSAT was multiple choice, and we know and we coached our children. 2 cannot be the answer. 2 are very close, and out of those 2, because they're so close, you can decide which one is the answer. Multiple choice. But when it comes on to PEP, you are pulling from a resource of knowledge where you have to supply everything.
Students who sat the exam on Monday indicate the English paper was challenging.
You have to have critical thinking skills to pass and think about the questions that you do.
Challenge for some of my students was the going back and forth. While it is that they were taught how to do research and they've done this over and over, some persons are just not independent enough.
And it's not just a challenge for grade 5 students. On Tuesday, we took to the streets asking adults to read the article and identify the main points.
The challenge that I faced while reading it was a bit lengthy and wordy, and I had a difficult time kind of going through what the main points. So for example, I'd have to read it. The first time I read it, I didn't quite get what it was saying, so I had to read it more than once.
Principal for the Woolmer's Preparatory School, Janet Howard, welcomes the exam but believes in order to get the desired results, it will take a collective effort.
The preparation has to be more thorough. Parents have to be more involved in terms of the critical thinking. So no longer you supply the children with all the answers. Everything at home, even cooking, getting the children involved is a part of the curriculum. It's helping them to think critically.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
Goat farmers in St. Elizabeth are expressing little hope in the police in tackling the issue of prairie larceny. The farmers say within the last 5 weeks, over 20 heads of goats have been stolen, and to this day, the police can't get anywhere with the investigations. TVJ Shamela Mitchell reports.
From Mountainside to Big Wood to Treasure Beach, St. Elizabeth, the cry is similar.
Thief, plenty thief.
More than 50 goat farmers, frustrated, angry and upset. Thieves have been denying them the benefit of their livelihood.
When we get up in the morning, we go tie them out. Not even one. The only thing we see was the 2 kids. I cry. They take away everyone. All we see was 3. They just cut off the rope and gone with them.
Less than a week, then thief one big one, value about 60,000.
3 rammy. I mean, no, say the 3 rammy.
a value over $30,000. Yeah, because okay, how smaller maybe money depend them. Well, the mother goat now you may get one mother goat like 5,000, 4,000, 6,000 in them region.
It's very hard.
So what was your plan having those goats when you're having those goats?
It always pay my daughter's school fee and bus fee.
So
every term I always try sell and pay them.
So what will happen now?
Well, me have to find another solution.
The farmers say they feel it is pointless to make reports because the police do nothing.
Have you reported to the police?
No, sir.
Why?
When me check it out, it never make no sense.
Whole part time with no help, so it don't make sense.
The police declined an on-camera interview but said the reports they have received are still under investigation. They encourage farmers to get them involved, while pointing out that despite the cries of theft, they are not seeing an increase in reported cases. Shamela Mitchell, TVJ News.
And time now for the responses from our friends on Facebook and Twitter. And Archie is at the smartboard.
Thanks, Lorraine. Here's our question this evening. We're asking, do you care if Jamaica remains a part of CARICOM? Asking people to explain why or why not. This person says, the only thing I care about is the day when all Jamaicans can afford a cost of living and our paycheck is attractive. CARICOM ain't helping ordinary Jamaicans, so I could care less. Second comment, considering the fact that we were in debt while being a part of CARICOM, does it matter? Third comment, yes, I care because as a country we need to unite with our neighbors, but in terms of what is expected of being neighborly, it is not happening. And a final comment for this section is yes, we should remain a part of CARICOM because we can benefit a lot by uniting with our neighbors. Keep your comments coming on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/televisionjamaica and the tweets to @televisionjam. Business news and news from overseas after the break.